Good morning and welcome. I thought I would start today with a quick video of my experience at a Subway restaurant. Happens to be near Vancouver, British Columbia in Richmond, BC. It's about customer experience, being that the show is about reputation. I thought this was an interesting video to start with. Here we go.
Good evening, this is Nethercott. I'm here on a Subway restaurant across from the Richmond Center, Richmond, BC. It's 101 7900. And they're open 24 hours, but they have a tip function on their payment, but they're not giving the tip to the employee. So I'm assuming the owner is taking the tip. So that's really not a good look for Subway, but more importantly for the owner of this restaurant. You should pay your employees. Just saying. Have a great night.
All righty. So yeah, that was an interesting experience at Subway. So let's go to the trailer. Here we go. And I've added a new piece here that you'll see in a minute.
You, Ian Nethercott, the host of the AutoHub show.
Life is about connection. Having a support system to lean on. And routes to endless possibility. At every turn, guiding the way, we are building the connections that move you.
Hey, I'm Vince Delmonico, General Sales Manager with Cruise Ford Lincoln. Larry Feldman came out and did one of our training courses. Absolutely incredible. I sat through the course myself. The engagement that our salespeople gained from it, the excitement that he brings, it was a new way of looking at things that we're already doing and how we can improve them. Love it. It's literally the best thing since sliced bread.
How do you adventure? Is it fast? Is it free? Is it clear? Is it rugged? Is it remote? For your next adventure, trust MotorClose for buying, selling, trading, and protecting all of your motorized assets. Powered by Disclose Dealership Management Dashboard, your all-in-one DMS, CRM, menu, lead gen, inventory, staff, client, and deal management solution. Disclose DMD, like a DMS, only better. Mention promo code AutoHub 2025 to get special pricing, including waive setup costs, no contract, and your first month's free.
Meta, Instagram, social, and your team is still waiting for ups like it's 1999. Let's be honest. Your market isn't watching TV commercials. They're double tapping and engaging with your competitors on social media posts. People are shopping these days for cars and servicing their vehicles in between watching cat videos. That's where we can help. Retail Resilient is the go-to authority for social selling in the car industry. Whether you're a new car franchise dealer, an independent, a buy here, pay here, a broker, a dealership owner or manager, we have something for you. Remember, when your lot is quiet, it means your social media is not loud enough. Check us out at retailresilient.com so we can retarget you on our social media feed.
And that's the new Retail Resilient promo for 2026. So that's a preview, being that it's the first time I've shown that. All righty. And good morning, everybody. Let me just scale this up and we'll go from there. We want to, 1 second. All right. So good morning, everybody. So I think Peter was actually on first, but we have a number of new people on. So I think what we'll do is we'll start, if that's okay with you, Peter. We're going to start with Michael Eagle. Michael, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about what you do, but more importantly, answer the following question. How important is online reputation in 2025, in your opinion?
So starting with that question, how important it is in 2025, it's critical. It's as important as anything else. It says your online reputation dictates your traffic, in my opinion, more than all of your ad spend combined. I can tell you that in the dealership, it's very common that guests will enter the dealership with a mobile device in their hand, and they're looking for an individual that's been reviewed. And I can tell you how many, there was an untold amount of business with negative reviews. And one of the follow-up questions is how to deal with negative reviews online. And it's really one question. Online reputation is critical. They look for stars. Nobody has a 5.0 star rating. If they do, it feels phony. But if you're not 4.5 or better, they're going to go down the road looking for somebody else. It's too easy to do business with good dealers. There's no reason they want to go out of their way to do business with bad dealers. Everybody's going to sell them the same vehicle for the same price.
Great. Thanks for that. So we also have Chris on. Chris, what do you think on online reputation? I mean, I know when I traveled a lot, and I still do quite a bit now, when I was looking for a restaurant in a new city, I'd be looking at what the reviews are, but more importantly, how many reviews. So I think it's very important. But what's your opinion?
Well, I'll second what Michael said. Your reputation is not what you say it is. It's what Google says it is. So it's super important that you're constantly collecting feedback from every customer encounter to not only stay in touch with your customers and what the real experience is like, but to fine tune it. So using that feedback, the most successful organizations actually use that feedback to refine their CX and to deliver a better customer experience. Because today, when you're shopping for a car, the sale prices are similar, the incentives from the factory are similar, the locations are even similar. The only defining difference is the customer experience that the store offers. And that's what we work with car dealerships to do, is to really refine that CX, deliver an exceptional customer experience, and then to really use that in your marketing to build trust. And that's taking those reviews and testimonials and promoting them out to become the most trusted dealer in your area.
Fantastic. Peter, I know you have no thoughts on reputation. What's your thought?
I agree with both our guests, but I just simply want to say, think about it. We've been so trained by Amazon. When you're looking at to buy a product, the first thing you do is you look at the product and find it, and then you immediately go, how many stars? Do they have good reviews? And quite frankly, I can tell you, my wife's a perfect example. I'll find something I want to buy, and she'll immediately go look at the reviews. And if it's bad reviews, it's nixed. So you need to look at the buying experience that we're training the people out there. And everybody, whether they're buying a widget or they're buying a car, they're going to look at the online reputation, look at the reviews, and they're going to decide who they're going to buy from because of that. So if dealers aren't paying attention to this, they need to get their head out of the sand and really take a hard look at this. And it's a critical moving forward, I think.
Yeah, I think when you look at reputation, especially this time of year when there's so much marketing around, you should buy this at a discount, you should buy that at a discount, you should go to this restaurant, you should go to this hotel, you should fly this airline. We were talking a little bit before the show about a couple airlines where I live who had bad experiences with customers videotaped them, and then basically the agent's like, we're going to put you on a different flight because you're videotaping us and embarrassing us publicly, which I thought was kind of interesting. But when you're looking at online reputation, especially at this time of year when you're in the retail environment and you're selling lots of goods and services, how do you train people about how to not only protect online reputation, but how to handle that better? What do you think, Chris?
Is the question, are you referring to your employees and execution of the CX?
Yeah, when you're looking at online reputation, obviously you can deal with the riding the lightning of bad reputation, or you can hopefully create a better experience. How do you train employees how to deal with that maybe difficult customer, challenging situation to protect that, online reputation?
Well, first and foremost, I believe that every excellent customer experience begins with excellent employee culture. So the most successful organizations on the planet really focus on the culture with their people. Richard Branson said it best. He said, customers don't come first, employees come first. If you take care of your employees, they'll take care of your customers. So that's the first step. Loving on your people, they're going to love on your customers. And then, having regular meetings on customer experience is something that we don't always see. And I think that's important. Taking all your reviews and feedback on a monthly basis and, compiling a report on common themes issues that are occurring within the store. And then, of course, common themes on what your team's doing right, and meeting with your team and really reviewing that and saying, hey guys, here's what we're doing, or operating at a high level, and here's some areas of improvement. I think that's super important. And I think that as we move forward, dealerships are going to have to really focus on that more.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've talked on an earlier show that wouldn't it be great if a car dealer, the dealer principal, actually called customers that maybe were unhappy to personally say, how can I make it right? But what do you think, Michael?
Certainly training is imperative. And I start with the training, looking at the numbers and guiding my team, each individual player and the team as a group, to understand how much dollar value these guests are worth to us. And then convert that into these guests are our employers. And if our employer walked in one door in the dealership, in the showroom, and the guest walked in the other door on the opposite side of the showroom, we were supposed to turn our back on our dealer and greet the guest, because we work for the guest just as the dealer works for the guest. And we create that culture by leading from the front. So in operating a dealership, I'm in the showroom every day, all day, meeting guests and making certain that they know how important it is to me that they have a wow experience. And therefore, my associates learn how important it is that we create a wow experience, because I'm showing them how the priority lies. And just in the same way that a parent puts the dishes in the sink after they eat a meal, and eventually the children learn to put the dishes in the sink after they eat a meal. If the associate, whether it's an advisor or a sales associate or a sales manager, any forward-facing associate, sees the general manager, the dealer operator, or the owner get out in the showroom and meet everybody and show them how important the great wow guest experience is, then they're going to follow suit and they're going to embrace and become eventually champions of that culture, and everything falls into line. I think everyone in this dealership needs to understand that they do not have the authority to tell anybody no.
Right.
We start with that concept. If you can't tell them yes, and you tell them you're going to work on it right now and find someone that's going to get the yes for them, and then kick it upstairs and keep going upstairs until somebody figures out to make that yes. And guess what? Sometimes it's a no. But that no decision needs to be a high-level decision, needs to be well thought out. Sometimes it needs to be collaborative to make certain that it's the appropriate thing. But we can't have advisors and sales associates and sales managers summarily telling people no. I bought this car 3 days ago. You made $15,000 gross profit on it. Now I want to bring it back because I don't like the color, but I put 300 miles on it. And the sales manager says, are you crazy? I'm not going to take that. That's not it for him to make that decision. Because when we tell that customer no, guess what? That's a ripple effect. We need to make certain that we handle that more very diplomatically. And maybe we decide to say yes. And maybe it's a smart investment for us. But telling people no, telling customers no is always a horrible decision. Can't get you in tomorrow. 10 o'clock. Yeah, let me find somebody who can figure out how to solve that for you. Let's be problem solvers.
Fantastic. Yeah, I got an email from a guy trying to sell me a Black Friday deal, and he said, here's the reasons not to take advantage of this Black Friday deal. And I thought that was an interesting shift on what if he went through the problems with a customer and said, hey, here are the reasons I didn't buy at your dealership, and he went through those one at a time at a sales meeting. But we have Larry on, and I know we heard a comment about training. I know Larry's doesn't do any of that. What's your opinion on training to handle difficult customers, Larry?
Well, it's the classic Zig Ziglar line. Training is like bathing. I recommend it every day because it doesn't last. If you think about it, think how backwards we've become as an industry. Like we all run around tying in a high CSI mark so we'll get money from the dealer and the dealer will get money from the OEM. Shouldn't it be I want to have high CSI so my customers will like me and come back and buy more cars? You read my book, Ian, so is Chris. You know what I'm quoting myself. They're not annoyances, they're annuities. They're worth a fortune. There you go. I love a well-educated consumer, particularly a good-looking one in a purple shirt. Long story short, you got to understand how important everybody is. And the beautiful thing, I love what you said, the culture flows downhill. I'm fanatical about answering my phone. I don't think I've ever had a call from Peter or Chris or Ian ever where I don't answer the damn phone. Why? Because my first couple weeks on the job, my GM was leaving, and the operator said, "You have a call, boss." And he was dumb enough to say, "Tell him I left." I thought, this guy's a moron. Somebody that wants to buy 3 cars to go to hell with us. See who else wants my money. What if it's somebody with a small problem which you solve, as opposed to it festers overnight and they want to kill you? So it's really just a matter, it's an attitude of gratitude. It's appreciating how important everybody is, how much money they're worth to you. And let's face it, it's not just in our industry. We're in an impermanent world. I'm a little older than you, but neither one of us are 18. We remember when if somebody got fired, it was a big deal. It's like a tragedy in a family. I used to get people approved. I'm not kidding you, folks. I was in a very bad neighborhood. Great people, bad credit scores. And I'd argue with the bank, "What do you mean you don't want to buy this guy?" "Well, his credit score is 106. I said, "Yeah, but he's been on his job 11 years. "Okay, let me look at it." I couldn't do that now because they have 9 jobs in 1 year and nobody's surprised. So if there's no feeling of permanence, if nothing's important, if half the marriages end in divorce, if every time you look around at a sports team, the next year the star is gone, it doesn't lend to that feeling like this is important to me. I'm not going to let this slide.
Thanks for that. Peter, what do you think?
You know, there was a couple key things. I want to share one thing that I saw, because one of the things that was common was it has to start from the top down and they have to have a care. There was a client of mine who I worked with, a dealer in a large volume store, and they had horrible reviews, horrible reviews. And it was a family-owned store, and what they did was very unusual. They had one of the younger daughters who was coming into the business take over that aspect of the business. And what someone said was to follow a call. So when she called and she had the last name, which was the same name that was up on the marquee, and said, "Hi, this is so-and-so," you're like, "Oh, wow. Someone from the family is actually calling me back. They must really care about me." And they created that sense. And literally in a matter of about 6 months of her getting involved with the heat cases, the people that were leaving the bad reviews, they turned around and their reviews literally started going up and their CSI improved. But again, it came from the top down, where the dealer said, "Look, this is a problem. We got to fix it. But I'm going to go one step further. I'm going to put someone in the family in charge of it." So and when they would leave that message, "Hey, this is so-and-so from the dealership," they actually would get phone calls back. So I agree completely with what everyone's saying, but it has to be a top-down implementation or it's not going to work.
But Peter, it doesn't, you're right, but it can also be from the bottom up. You got Chris Snellgrove on here. Chris teaches the salespeople to get the people so involved in an endorsement and put it on their Facebook. It's just a matter of somebody caring. So many dealerships to this day still don't have a person to handle the heat cases, a person dedicated to making sure that people are happy and that the dots connect.
Yeah. So, I mean, to your point, Larry, and maybe Michael can chime on this. Like, who do you think is the best person to reach out to customers? Do you think it's a general manager? Do you think it's a salesperson, service director? I mean, what do you think?
Talking about unhappy customer?
Yeah. Like, who would be the best person?
Highest person on the food chain that's available. The dealer, if the dealer's too busy because it's got too many things going on, and the GM, for sure, at the very least a GM, not GSM, not sales manager, not the general manager. Because the general manager has the authority to fix it right then and there.
Michael, the only reason I would slightly disagree with you is I've been a GM and an owner, and even though I tried to put my hands on everything, I couldn't. I think you need a person to talk to every damn customer, and this way we circumvent some of the unhappy ones from being happy. Because you know and I know, if you and me are at the same store with Dan, and we all think the other guy's going to handle it, you need one person designated to reach out to every customer. This way you can know if you miss somebody.
So that's a different question, because Ian's talking about the ones that we know they're unhappy. Certainly, every customer needs a contact. Every, in the lane, so how many tickets does an advisor write a day? 10 if he's busy. They should get a phone call every night from their advisor. If it's a carryover and it's there 3 nights, they get a call 3 nights. 100%, absolutely. And as far as guests that come into the showroom, they should get a phone call from the sales manager, whether they buy a car or don't buy a car. They should, obviously, a TO before they leave, whether they buy or don't buy, and make sure the experience was great. And then a phone call later on in the afternoon or in the evening from the manager. There's not that much traffic on showroom. So what do we assign a manager? We assign a manager and say you should be responsible for 65 car deals. So say they're closing an across-the-board rate of 25%. So that manager is responsible for 250 retail opportunities in a 22-day work month. There's 13 opportunities, just like an advisor. Manager can't make 13 phone calls in a day. So no, they absolutely, and then they need to put notes in the CRM so that they can be reviewed as it goes up the chain. So certainly, Larry, I agree with you. Everybody's got to get a call, whether they transact or don't transact.
And Michael, well, not everybody's you, and I don't mean that as a backhanded compliment. You sound like the kind of guy that digs in. I've had a lot of managers that I've had contact with. I wouldn't want them calling my customers because they may come across as grumpy or starchy. You need somebody that's just malleable, that's a calm, no, I get it. Let me see what I can do to make you happy. That's all. I'm only talking about practical application. We all understand in theory what should happen, but like as the church says, many are called, but the flesh is willing, the spirit's willing, but the flesh is weak. That's just what I see.
You can definitely agree about it.
Yeah,
100%.
I got some comments from Jean Reidelbach. She said top down and bottom up, infrastructure and measurement. And she said brought to the culture with lots of celebration, and caring team creates memorable experiences to give 5-star wins. And then the last comment she had was CX is a team sport, gentlemen. And then we had one more comment here. She's endorsing you, Larry, by the way. We had one more comment. What a great panel. So much value. Thanks, Wendy. So Chris, what is your thought on who's the best person?
I'll tell you a crazy story. Years ago, when we would call on stores, we would, of course, look at their online reviews. And the #1 Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram store in the nation, Huntington Beach Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, was putting the general manager's name and mobile number in the review responses. And I honestly thought that it wasn't real. I'm like, there's no way this guy's putting his mobile number in a public forum. So I was calling it on a regular basis, trying to get a hold of it. And finally, one day he picked up. So he was actually putting his mobile number. Now, was it his primary mobile number? Maybe not. Maybe it was a second number. But I thought that was interesting that he was putting his public, mobile number in those responses. I do think it's important to have the highest person possible. Maybe make the call if they're available. If they're not, a customer loyalty manager who's in charge of making sure that customers stay happy, I think is essential. And I think that every dealership should invest in that, quite frankly, because it's that important. Dealers work so hard to and spend so much money to attract people to the store, and then often in service is where we lose them. They sit there for 3 hours for an oil change and they leave. They're not pissed off enough to leave a negative review, so they don't leave a review at all. But that's called the silent killer, because what's the likelihood of that person stepping foot into that store again?
Yeah, I mean, years ago when I sold cars, I had a home number, and I used to put my home and my cell number on my card. People are like, well, you want people calling you home? I said, yeah, like, I don't care. Call me, whatever. Almost never did anyone call me, but it's funny, move forward now 15 years. I've had my personal phone number on LinkedIn since 2005, and I get a handful of calls a year, and people are shocked it's my actual phone number. They're like, really? That's your number? I'm like, yeah. Nobody takes it seriously, to your point, but never make it hard for someone to reach out to you. So we're talking a little bit about dealing with challenging situations. What are the best practices as we move into 2026, in your opinion? Michael, what do you think in terms of reputation management?
For starters, I put my name and cell number on a 3x5, 3 foot by 5 foot poster on 2 sides of the showroom. And guests know that if they buy a car today, and they have any questions or any issues that need to be resolved, to contact me directly. And if they didn't buy a car today based on anything to do with terms of the transaction, to call me right away and I'll fix it for them right then and there. And that's been a tremendous lifesaver for me, to save what would have been a bad review turn into a great review. I got woken up at 6 o'clock in the morning on Saturday about 6 months ago. And somebody was on the other side on the west coast of Florida, and their Jeep 4xe broke down. Saturday morning, 6 o'clock, well, brand new vehicle, no place to get it fixed. But fortunately, my service manager, new service manager on the west coast, woke him up, got him hooked up a tow, and got into the dealership. This vehicle was 48 hours old. So if they couldn't get me on the phone, because they certainly couldn't get the dealership on the phone at 6 o'clock in the morning, they couldn't get me on the phone, and that they're stranded wherever they were, I don't know, probably Alligator Alley, whatever. Our review would have been terrible. We would have been zeros. And still we got a perfect score, but not just a perfect score, but we won a customer. And that customer put some great reviews online. I'm sure that snowballed as a multiplication effect. So the best practice for me is making certain that every guest has the direct contact for the dealer operator or the general manager on their cell phone. And just as shared previously, I don't get phone calls at midnight or 2 in the morning from guests ever. So that doesn't bother me. And if they call me at midnight, guess what? These are my employers. These are the people that pay me. And whether they don't all pay me at one time, that one individual, but the group of people pay me. So I take the phone calls. And if I can't get the call, I call them back when I get the message or they text me. So make yourself available. Have general managers make themselves a name, cell number available, and make sure people know. If you didn't make a car deal today, call me. If you made a car deal today, you got something going on, call me. And Elena as well. Any issues, call me. And that's the best practice, certainly.
Yeah, we got another comment from Gene. She said soft skills training in de-escalation is a best practice. I thought that was interesting. Larry, what do you think on what's the best practice? I mean, you train new hires to the car business. You train existing people. What do you think?
Well, first of all, what Michael said was spot on. The second thing, Michael, and you're going to laugh because you're good at it, I can tell already, and how many people are horrible at it, is to be better listeners. What's more annoying when you're trying to explain something to somebody and they're interrupting you and they're not getting the point of what you're saying? Now you're angrier than you were before you started talking to them. So if we can listen and actually try to understand what it is, why they're so inflamed, and try to find the solution that actually makes sense, I think between being accessible, as Michael said, being better listeners, I think it's easy. And just keep in mind, he said it, Michael, you said it perfectly. They're our employers. These are the people that are feeding our family. Why would you want to waste time or energy getting annoyed at them? I don't care whose name is on the check. Your customers pay. Everybody else are just middle people handling the money going back and forth.
Can I just share one quick one?
Yeah.
That I teach my managers, please?
Yeah.
It's so simple. And I had some real hard-nosed closers work on my team. And, no matter what anybody asks them, their first answer is no, boom, right? Because they're just looking to squeeze more money out, and that's it, right? So I teach them the importance of responding to the complaint and helping customers. Wow, Ian. Ian, let me thank you for the opportunity during your business. So thank you for your business. We really do appreciate it. I want to let you know that we all appreciate it. Number one. Number two is I'm hearing the issue that you have, and I want to apologize to you for that issue because it is my responsibility that it happened. It is my fault. I take the blame on that because I didn't train my team better to make sure that didn't happen. So if you'll please give me the opportunity to fix it for you now, I would really value that. Will you let me fix it for you now and take ownership of the problem? I'm sorry, it's my fault. Whatever word track they want to use, it's my fault. I'm going to fix it. Please forgive me. Everybody wants power of absolution. Everybody. And I've never said to somebody, please, this is my fault. Let me fix it for you. Can you forgive me and let me fix it for you? I've never had somebody tell you, no, I can't forgive you. I didn't kill their family. I didn't do some terrible thing. the car broke down. We didn't put the plug back in the oil in the engine, so the oil came out on their driveway. That's fixable. Get them a new engine, clean up their driveway. Everything can be fixed. It's my fault. Please forgive me. Let me fix it for you.
Michael, I'm with you. I've done more absolutions than a priest, and I'm Jewish.
Simple. Sorry to jump in like that. I just feel ready.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Chris, what do you think?
I feel like Michael's probably read Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink because
Great
what
book.
he's talking about is absolutely taking ownership and for a team failure. Like that the leadership should take responsibility instead of blaming the team. And I believe that wholeheartedly. I agree with Jeannie. Jeannie's and I have had many discussions on training CX in dealerships. And when you have your team focused on collecting testimonials and reviews, what else are they focused on? The customer experience, right? And when you're focused on the customer experience, it's a win-win-win. I tell dealers, you're going to have higher CSI scores, more repeat business, and more referrals. There's no downside to it. Oh, and by the way, you're going to get some reviews and testimonials as well. That's a secondary benefit to the primary benefit of your people taking care of your customers.
100%. I mean, the purpose of the AutoHub show for the last 7 years has been making the industry better one show at a time. And the reality is everything is possible to improve if you focus on it. But more importantly, if you learn from what maybe you didn't do correctly the first time. My dad always used to say, you're an amateur the first time you do something. The second time, you're an expert. Peter, what do you think?
One of the things I want to share, because I agree with what everyone's saying, is you're asking like, what is a best practice for 2026, in my opinion. It's important that they respond to all of the reviews, good, bad, or indifferent. Responding to the reviews, but more importantly, after they fix the problem, what I found that works very well is to go back and say, hey, Mr. Customer, have we done a good job of fixing the problem? Would you be so kind as to maybe put an addendum to your review or put another review letting them know that we did respond back and correct the situation? Because you can't just always take down the bad reviews, but when you can show people and other people look and they look, well, hey, they made a mistake, and they got a bad review up there, and then somebody responded to them, they fixed it, and they see that you're actually listening and paying attention and you're taking action to fix the problems, because everybody's human, everybody makes a mistake. I think that has a lot of value. So I think responding to all the reviews and dealing with them like everyone's talked about is very important. But getting that customer to close that loop by putting something up and saying, hey, look, I had a problem, but they fixed it, and I'm going to go back there because that's how they treated me, and they treated me with respect and did the right thing.
Yeah, I mean, just think about how when you do a great job, even if it started out maybe not ideal, how many referrals you would get from a customer said, hey, at midnight, the dealer took the call and helped me when I was at the side of the road. I mean, think about it. If your wife was at the side of the road with a flat tire and nobody was helping them out, it's really not a good scenario. What do you think in terms of final thoughts on what dealers should do first? Let's start with Chris. What should dealers do first to fix this problem?
Well, first and foremost, hopefully they have a good system for collecting feedback, because the feedback loop is extremely important to refining your CX. So, making sure that every customer encounter, sales and service, I know dealerships that don't even ask because they're afraid of the review request being confused with the manufacturer survey. So that, no, we want to make sure our manufacturer surveys get completed so they don't send a review request. I think that's insane, because you want to make sure that manufacturer survey is as good as possible. So a review request prior to the manufacturer survey, I think, is the best. And then making sure that your system can collect that internal feedback and get it to your appropriate team leaders, either sales or service, to refine the customer experience. And then using the feedback, because not all, and Jeannie and I talk about this on a regular basis, a lot of dealerships will collect the feedback but not use it and to refine the customer experience that they're delivering. So, having regular meetings with your team, just taking 15 minutes each meeting to talk about the customer experience, that builds a culture where your people are focused on the most important part of your business.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to talk to Larry a little bit about this because he gets a lot of feedback from his clients that happen to be dealers or salespeople about how the experience was with him. Imagine if the salespeople got feedback from customers, good and bad, every single time on video and said, hey, thanks for that feedback. I mean, what do you think, Larry? How do you get these guys to do this feedback for you?
If you have a dog and you point, your dog never looks where you're pointing, he looks at your finger. And I think that's a lot of the problem we have with CSI. People are programmed, well, I want to keep my score up, so I'll get the bonus from the dealer, and the dealers, I want to get the money from the factory. But if we maybe had meetings discussing why we're doing this, what's the impetus behind it, and what's the result, what's the carrot and the stick of this? Because a lot of the things we throw at salespeople, it's like, here's why we're doing it, but why are we doing it, and what's the net result? So I think just a clearer understanding. You've heard me say this 1,000 times, Ian. One of the quickest way to ease the tensions between variable and fixed are sales service meetings. But I still see dealerships not having them. I still see dealerships not making service walks mandatory. So making it clear, this is why we're doing this. Understand, it's not just to get the CSI. It's so these people will come back and buy more cars and repeat and referral. Michael, you understand this, and you're probably on top of it. I go to dealers, nice sales staff, great management, nobody's prospecting. And in most of these states, other than Ohio and Virginia and California, you can write a referral check. See, guys, you out of your mind? It's Thanksgiving and Christmas. Who can't use 100 or 200? Rich people will drive the Bentleys across town to save 3 cents on a gallon of gas. You don't think they want 100 or 200? So it's just a matter of making them understand why we're going after CSI. It's not just to get a paycheck, it's to get multiple paychecks and building a following.
Thanks for that. Michael, I mean, what do you think on online reputation? And more importantly, when you look at online reputation in 2026 and you look at the younger demographic, it's probably more important than it's ever been. I mean, what do you think there?
I think that it has always been of maximum importance. Now that we all transact and we shop digitally to a greater extent, and it becomes much more isolated in our view, it's right in the crosshairs. And the most important, to me, way to get the store in line, get everybody individually in line to create the wow guest experience is to train them regularly on the money. I love my job. The day you stop paying me is the day you stop seeing me. That's the same with everybody in the dealership, right? So let's make certain that everybody in the dealership understands who's paying them and how we're getting that money from their wallet to our wallets. And we're getting it not because we have the right car at the right price, getting the right car at the right price or the right repair at the right price at the right time and the right experience. And if we train our people that the Ritz-Carlton or the Four Seasons or the Breakers here on the coast in Florida gets $2,000 a night, and down the street La Quinta Inn gets $100 a night, and both hotels have a toilet and a shower and a bed, and it takes 6 months to get a room in the Breakers for $2,000 a night, and we could all 5 of us get a room, get 5 rooms in La Quinta tonight for $100 a night. So why do people wait 6 months to spend $2,000 and yet they can't sell the rooms for $100? Because the experience, people that provide a premium guest experience, and I learned this a long time ago, dealers, salesmen, advisors, managers that provide a premium guest experience will get more revenues from more people more frequently, and they'll make more money. It's real simple. And I'll tell you who told me about the premier guest experience, and I've been doing this a long time already, so I was ready, an expert, knew everything until I realized how stupid I was, right? With Mike Maroney. And time he was president of AutoNation, he hired me in 2012, and he told me, he says, I want to get a premium on every vehicle we sell, and I want to create a premium guest experience. And we spent a half hour in his office on the 16th floor talking about the premium guest experience. And it served me well. We need to train salespeople, but not just tell about it in meetings, but show them, lead them from the front. Talk is cheap. We're sitting here talking about great CSI, go back to work, nobody does anything about it, and everybody still has an 85 score. And we still don't have long-term customers. everybody in this room has read the book Customers for Life by Carl Sewell, I'm sure.
Yep.
And back 40 years ago, they were worth $700,000. I don't know what they're worth right now, but certainly 700,000 is 3 million today, that's for sure. And we need to get the sales associates and the advisors and technicians and the managers and the porters and the receptionists. We get phones answered on the first ring. We need to get people smiling when they're talking on the phone. We need to get people looking at people in the eye and making eye contact and shaking hands and using their names over and over to make sure that people don't feel like it's just a transaction at Walmart. Because Walmart's a very profitable company, but you know something, the people who work at Walmart don't make so much.
Hey, Ian, speaking of customer satisfaction, we got Brandy joined in.
Yeah. Brandy, what do you think on customer satisfaction? You're muted, by the way. I think she's afraid or something. Hey, Brandy, what do you think on customer satisfaction? How do you create that not bad reputation in cardio?
Exactly. I'm not sure who was just speaking. I was only catching it because I'm in Vancouver traffic right now. At times.
Wow.
Yeah. So yes, everything he said, but you know, I love the questions about this on this topic because it is actually so simple. Customer for life. How can you make a customer for life? And I feel like that's almost it's almost assumed that everybody knows that, and I think that they just don't. And you know, customer for life is not only one customer for life, it's the referrals that come with that customer for life, because the happy customer, man, they are your number one selling feature. They're your best advertisement right there. So to me, we talked about on the questions, you know, reputation, how does the dealer, you know, keep their reputation? Should they care? They should have always cared, and I hope they did. I hope that nobody goes into this industry thinking, I don't care about my reputation when I'm selling a car, because I'm going to tell you, if you do, I don't like you. I think you need to go. It's time, because you've ruined it for everybody else. But yeah, no, it's to me, like, look at my company, as some of you know, some of you may not, is called Disclose. I am a full disclosure salesperson. I have always been a full disclosure salesperson. I use disclosure to sell. And so for me, you know, what does that equate to? I have high CSI. Customers leave absolutely almost overwhelmed with information, but on a positive note. They go away commenting about it. And not only is everybody happy, I don't get chargebacks. So when you think about that ripple effect in just the most positive manner, the same thing has happened when it's a negative manner.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I mean, you want to take fans and turn them into super fans, especially in the days of social media, but even before that. But if you had a customer that was going to trash talk you online or was going to leave a bad review, and you turn that into a positive review, but more importantly, you turn it into a super fan, isn't that a win? I mean, that's to me is a huge opportunity. When you look at the restaurant reviews is a good example. When you look at restaurant reviews and you go through any restaurant, pick it, there's always a percentage of bad. But what if that restaurant owner said, hey, obviously that experience wasn't ideal. Can I do something for you to make up for it and turn that around? I mean, there's a show I was watching on Michelin stars and all these restaurants trying to get Michelin stars. They don't even know who the reviewers are or who they are or when they're going to show up. But their goal is the same, which is provide that extra level of experience, food and guest experience every single time, in the hope that they capture that Michelin star, which is obviously elusive. Well, we're almost out of time, shockingly, but we've got time for a final thought from everybody. Why don't we start with Chris? Thanks, Brandon.
Final thought is that we should change CSI to CDI, because I don't believe that satisfactory is good enough. I think it should be the customer delight index. And that's what we really train our clients to execute, is delighting the customer with a memorable experience. You know, Jay Baer, who wrote Hug Your Haters and Talk Triggers, talks about it. He says, don't expect people to talk about your business for doing the expected. And I believe the same is true for testimonials and reviews. Don't expect people to give your company, your dealership, a testimonial or review for doing the expected. You got to do above and beyond. You really have to delight the customer with a memorable experience that creates a raving fan out of that customer. I think that's the secret.
Yeah, I mean, there's Goggins, famous ex-military member. He does his workouts to people that trash talk him online to motivate himself, which I thought was a really crazy way to do it on playlists. But anyway, what do you think, Michael?
Quote was attributed to Roger Penske. That a totally satisfied customer will refer 5 to 7 new customers in the first 12 months. Now, I don't know where the quote is, but I've read it in multiple places over the years that this is something he said. And I think that if we add up all of our car skills and all of our car knowledge, I think we'll have a hard time matching Roger Penske as a group.
Yeah, not a small group of dealers, right? What is it, 1,800 locations?
And I would say that I want my players to live by that rule. And I don't use the word customer in the showroom. I use the word guest. Customer to me feels like it's McDonald's, feels like it's Walmart. And I use the word guest, and I try to get my associates to use the word guest. And it gives them a different perspective in the same way. I don't like the word appointment. Appointment sounds like the dentist or the district attorney's office. I like the word reservation. Kind of like the Ritz-Carlton would do, the Breakers would do. So guests and reservations, and 5 to 7 deals a year from every happy customer. Guest.
100%. If you went to a restaurant and they said, "Oh, do you have an appointment today to meet with our chef?" I mean, it does sound a little crazy, but more importantly, simple things like opening the door for the customer, welcoming them to the showroom, whether you're a salesperson or not. I mean, creating that experience from the start. I was at about 10 dealers last week, including a Volkswagen store. And what was interesting was the dealer came down and he has a few older Volkswagens in the showroom, but he spent a lot of time talking about owning a Volkswagen store. And I'm trying to remember the last time a dealer came out and met somebody and said, "Hey, I'm proud to represent this brand, but let me tell you about the products and what we do here at ABC Volkswagen," right? And it was very
every digital guest or every live brick and mortar guest, if we treat them like our car dealer's 88-year-old mother, I think we won't have an issue with CSI.
Yeah, I mean, I think Larry was talking about how he sends car salespeople out to shop for their sister or their cousin who's just having a baby. And the response from dealers is like, "Well, you should bring her in." To look at a minivan, for example. I mean, it was very interesting. What do you think, Peter?
I was on mute for a second. I think one of the things I want to share is because we have 2 different groups, I believe, that are participating on the show today. We have a lot of people that are at the dealer level and manager levels. And for those people that are joining us on the show, I think the takeaway for them should be, look, this needs to be a top-down initiative, and I need to lead by example and show my team. But I believe we have a lot of car people and a lot of service people that are joining us on the show today because we're growing our audience. And for those people, the takeaway for them, from my opinion, is this. You have no control over what your boss does, what the dealer does. You need to take pride in what you're doing, and I know you do, but go out there and make sure that anybody that you're interacting with has a great experience. Because if you're a salesperson at a dealership and you do a great job and you decide to leave that store, if you build that relationship with those people are going to follow you because they want to do business with you. So regardless of what your store is doing, you need to make sure that you're doing all the correct things that everyone in this call talked about to make sure that those customers, when they come in, they have an exceptional experience and they walk away knowing, you know what, I want to do business with him because he took good care of me, like Michael said. And I love what Michael said, putting his phone number on his card and letting people know. And if that customer calls you late at night, you pick up the phone, you help them, because you're building a relationship. And that relationship is going to go with you throughout your career. And no matter what stores, because we've all been in different stores. Some stores do a great job, some stores don't do a great job. But the salespeople, can take that away and actually build themselves a customer base that literally will help them throughout their career.
Yeah, something as simple as when it's about us on a website. How many websites have you seen for car dealers where it's like they don't have a phone number for the salesman, they don't have a phone number for the manager, there's no email? I mean, even the one where it says contact the dealer, it's send an email. Like it should be easy for that customer when they have a problem or a challenge or they want to give feedback, to reach out to the actual people at the dealership and easy to find out who, versus trying to figure that out. I mean, car dealership websites, need a lot of help, but simple things like contact us. How do I reach a person? I think that's very, very important. And I know Larry never answers his telephone, so maybe he has some thoughts on this. As a former car dealer, I mean, did you make it hard for people to reach you?
Nope. Like Michael, I always had my cell phone accessible out there. I think the problem at dealerships is the problem with our society, lack of communication. We need to work on our communication skills, and we want to make ourselves as accessible as possible, and then everything gets easier and better.
Fantastic. Brandy, any final thoughts? I know you're driving in Vancouver traffic, which I'm sure is fun.
It's slow-mo, so I've got lots of thoughts, but I do want to actually give a shout out to Larry on this whole topic, because the one thing I've learned about Larry and his style of training is that he really focuses not necessarily on giving a bunch of scripted lines that people screw up half the time. He teaches them to be human and to interact with people on a human level and with sincerity and understanding the process from a different level. I really, and he didn't pay me to say this, I swear to God, but I think we have to focus on the training and the message that we're instilling in that front line, those soldiers that go out and pay for the lights and the rest of it to stay on for many of these stores. I think that we have to be giving them the tools, and it isn't about a sale, it's about being personality, and personality feeds to many different things, including good testimonials.
I remember years ago, I worked in the computer business, and I took a course on how to deal with difficult people. And I think a lot of it is that, there's a problem, let's get the manager, let's get the owner. If you give the people on your floor the basic training on how to handle some of those situations, not only can you delegate some of that, you can handle it better. I mean, if you can handle a minor challenge or a minor problem when it first comes up before it becomes a major problem, you can definitely solve those problems. But what are you hearing from dealers as we end 25, 26? I mean, is this really top of their list of things to do for 2026? I mean, what are your thoughts there? Why don't we start with Michael on that?
Dealers understand the priority of online reputation. Absolutely. Are they all prioritizing it as the single most important aspect in the business? No, and it may not be the single most important thing. Everything's the most important. There's 10 most important things. But I know a lot of dealers, and I don't know any dealers that don't prioritize online reputation.
Fantastic. Chris, I mean, I know you talk to a lot of dealers on reputation. I mean, are they prioritizing this in 2026 as they get into the new year?
First of all, I want to say that Larry's the only person I know that gets a living testimonial on a podcast. So kudos, Larry. Great testimonial, Brandy. Yes, most dealers that we're talking to are prioritizing this as an initiative. They've got, they're not selling as many cars. It's not as easy. So they have to focus on, in my opinion, this area to really set themselves apart, because it's quite competitive. And the real difference is when you can show off your customer experience through testimonials. And that's what we're really promoting right now is testimonials. Video testimonials are very rare in the automotive industry. They're hard to get because you really got to train your team on how to get them and then to get them out into the marketplace. So that's what we're focused on, is helping dealers not only get reviews, but get what we call the golden trust factor, and that's the video testimonial.
Yeah, I was in a dealer last week, and they had photos of the deliveries, which I used to take on my digital camera, I think, or cell phone years ago. But to your point, I mean, the video is the future of technology today. I mean, kids spend more time on TikTok than any other platform. So video is definitely the takeaway for 2026. If you're not doing that, I mean, I had the opportunity to see Gail, I think it was at Used Car Week, and she had a group of general managers do a TikTok video as a group training session, which has got to be the funniest thing I've ever seen. You can check it out on our YouTube channel. She broke them out into sections and had them do pieces of a video. But there's a Volkswagen dealer, I think he's in Texas. He does an AI generated video almost every day of him and different situations talking about his dealership, and it's a great way to promote your dealership. But the one that really stands out for me is a dealer principal Toyota store somewhere in the US, I'm not sure where. She does a walkthrough or feature review of different features on a different Toyota vehicle every day. And it's the dealer doing this, which is quite interesting. So it's not just the salespeople. I think that person who has that franchise or that person who's a general manager, they can definitely become the star of the show there as well. But why not, stress that uniqueness? Like I think about Subaru. I was at a Subaru dealer and they were doing a national campaign about being different or being weird or whatever it was. But the guys in the store had no idea how to take that and run with it. I mean, they do a promotion about dogs, which is a big opportunity for them as a brand, but they don't really run with it. Like there's nothing they really do with it at the dealer level. So I think there's some opportunity to really have fun with it, but more importantly, to train your team, as Larry says, to collect those reviews. What do you think, Peter? I've got about 5 minutes left, just so you know.
I think, excuse me, I think that the reviews are critical. I think, having that personal interaction is going to be the critical piece. I like what Chris was talking about the video testimonials, because video is hot. People love video. And if you can get somebody to give you a video testimonial, that is like gold, because you can take that video testimonial and you put it up on your social media, you start sharing it. And quite honestly, a lot of people are looking at things on their phone, and it's real easy for them to watch a video as opposed to read a testimonial. And from what I'm seeing, some of these review platforms are starting to make it where you can, put up some videos, which is not a bad thing. So I'm very big, like Chris, on video testimonials. I think it's phenomenal.
100%. Well, thanks very much, everybody, for taking the time to talk about reputation and guest experience. It's been a theme of the show for a long time. When you look at best experience out there in the marketplace, if you're training your team, why don't you start that conversation by talking to them about what's their best restaurant experience, what's their best vacation experience, hotel experience. All these different experiences really can train them about what to do differently that maybe other car dealers aren't doing. I worked at an auto mall years ago, and there was about 16 dealers that people would visit. So you knew by the time they saw you, they'd already had 5 or 6 different experiences, whether they were good or bad. And if you stood out there and actually created a different experience, you in a lot of cases captured a customer, but more importantly, someone who could refer customers. I think not only creating a great experience, but turning that customer into a raving fan is really the goal, especially if it doesn't get handled initially. Turning that customer from maybe a hater to a fan should be a goal of everybody. I mean, there's a famous quote, I think it's from a social media influencer. He goes, I got to get more haters because I've turned them all into fans. And I agree with that 100%. Your goal should be to turn those people who maybe didn't have a good experience into raving fans. Thanks very much for taking the time today. Have yourself a great Christmas season if I don't see you, and all the best for the recuperation from Thanksgiving and Black Friday. I'm sure that will extend today into Cyber Monday, and have yourself a great week. Thanks for watching.
Take care, everybody.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.